Ken Paxton, welcome to the program, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited to talk to you about your Senate candidacy.
Me too.
Yeah. But first, let me talk to you a little bit about what is happening here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with Epic. Epic is an Islamic center and a community. And let me just play some of the video as we're talking about this.
And now we embark on a new chapter, a vision of harmony.
All right, so
homes and hearts unite.
As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I mean, they crossed the mountains and started their own community in Salt Lake, but they don't have a Mormon separate law. You know what I mean? It's all based on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And it's not going against everything that the country was done. So I have no problem. You want to start any religious community, not a problem. Is this that kind of community? Do we know enough about it yet?
So I don't. So we're in the middle. We just started an investigation. So I don't know the answer. And I do agree with you. We are a free country. First Amendment is like clearly First Amendment, and you can believe whatever you want to believe in this country and still be free. On the other hand, you're right. I mean, we have laws in this country, and those laws matter. The Constitution matters. And if you're not following the laws of our country, then we're going to have some controversy and some contention. So in the end, you can have whatever religion you want and believe whatever you want, but you still have to follow our laws, our state laws and our federal laws and our Constitution. So
the development's attorney says that any investigation is just racial profiling. I'm so sick of that stuff because I don't think that it is racial profiling. I think we have reason to be concerned. Look what's happening over in Europe, and we can't let that happen here in America, especially Texas.
Well, yeah, countries are being taken over, and Sharia law is taken over whatever country they're in, and that's certainly, we can't let that happen here. I mean, the rule of law, our Constitution, what our founders put together, it was so beautiful and wonderful and given us freedom for so long. We're not going to sacrifice that for Sharia law. It's just not going to happen in Texas. And so we're going to be very focused on that and making sure they're following our laws. And at the same time, as you said, we want to be cognizant that people have a right to have their own religion, and we respect that.
So how do you possibly, because everybody involved is going to say, well, of course you're not going to have Sharia law. Of course this isn't going to be a no-go zone. But that's what has been said now for a few decades over in Europe, and that's exactly what they become. How do you, if you can't find, a smoking gun with how to bring Sharia law into Texas, you're not going to find that pamphlet. How are you going to be able, what could you possibly find that would be solid enough to say no?
Well, so what you say is different sometimes than what people actually do. So we're going to be looking at what people are actually doing out there. What are the developers? How are they implementing this? Are they discriminating based on whether you're a part of a certain religion? Because that would create issues with fair housing laws. And so we're just going to be looking at what is the actual practice, not what are you saying. Not what is your promotional material, laud, although the promotional material may tell us something. So it's actually what is actually happening on the ground out there, and that's our focus. What is the truth?
So multiple state agencies are involved in this, and are we talking about fines, injunctions, something bigger if violations are found? What? Yeah.
So I can't issue fines, but I can certainly sue over it and get. If there's a reason, get an injunction to stop it. If it's doing imminent harm, it's usually what you have to show. You have to show imminent harm and that you win on the merits. Otherwise, we would sue them over some type of consumer law violation, or if the governor had other violations through some of the agencies that he's directing, we could represent those agencies in lawsuits. So there's all kinds of different ways to address that, depending on what we find in our investigation.
So when you were under investigation here in Texas, your attorney that represented you in the impeachment hearing, which was all cleared, is now representing the developers. Does that cause a conflict of interest with you at all?
Look, I certainly didn't know about that until recently, and I would say obviously a little concerning that I wasn't made aware of that. And there definitely could be an argument that there's conflict because I'm still being represented by him, and he's representing clients that we are investigating. So a little conflicty to me.
Yeah. All right. Let me switch to Cornyn. This makes Stu very, very happy. Makes me happy too. I think when I found out we were together, and we hugged it out.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Anybody who is standing against Cornyn.
I think I told you in person.
Yeah, you did. So we have Cornyn in. Have you heard anything? Have you talked to the president about this? Is he going to stand against Cornyn and stand with you? Do you have any idea yet?
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, what I've noticed about President Trump is typically he waits till later, closer to the election. He likes to see how things are going, whether people are doing what they said they were going to do, and whether they're performing. So part of the reason I decided to get this over with, I think there was a big effort by John Thune and some of the swamp to get John an endorsement before I got in or somebody else got in. And I wanted to make sure I was in the game before, all these things got done in Washington.
Right.
In my opinion, one of the frustrations I have is it feels like sometimes that Washington wants to decide, oh, well, Ken, you can't run because we haven't picked you. And I'm like, I don't care if you pick me. What I care about is the people of Texas, right? It feels like they think that they get to decide, well, we picked John, so sorry, you can't run. Well, I'm just not into that decision-making and never will be. So they don't understand. It should be the voters of Texas that decide, not John Thune and a bunch of Republican senators that think they should run the world.
So for anybody who hasn't been paying attention for the last 400 years, what would be different between you and Cornyn?
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny. I've had this discussion many times. Everything. I mean, he and I... His focus is in D.C. His focus is not on the people of Texas. My focus is on the people of Texas, and that translates into him wanting to be happy and satisfied in D.C. So he fights to pass gun restrictions on Texans and all Americans. And he worked with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden said, "Hey, great job." President Trump, on the other hand, said, "No, you're a rhino. Don't. This is bad legislation." And so, not only did John pass legislation that hurt the rest of the country, but he also enabled the ATF to then have angles to try to expand their control over gun ownership, and I had to go sue them twice. So it's things like that. It's things like the amnesty that he suggested he's for. It's the fight he fought, building a wall. He fought Trump on that. He's been unsupportive and critical of Trump when he ran both times, calling him an albatross around the neck. So fundamentally, John and I are very different, and we believe very different. Our focus is on very different people, and he's part of the establishment. He was put there by the Bushes, and he doesn't look out for the interests of individual Texans. He's thinking people in Washington are his people.
Ken, part of the establishment in this particular case is, I would say, an understatement. And one of the benefits of being part of that establishment is you got a lot of friends who have a lot of power or a lot of money. They are going to come after you really, really. I mean, I can't even imagine.
They've already told me.
Mm-hmm.
No, they've already told me. They told me that I should not run, that I was not picked, and that I should not run, and that they would spend, I was told, $120 million to make sure that they kept John Cornyn. And I said, hey, can you tell me why John Cornyn's running? I just want to know that. And there was a quiet silence, and there was like, well, we told him not to run. He's already been in there 4 terms. We told him not to run, and but he's our friend, so we're going to support him, and we're going to spend the money to beat you. And I said, so you're telling me you don't even know why John Cornyn's running, and you can't explain why he should be the senator, and you do think he's already been there too long, but yet you're still going to support him? And the answer was yes, and we will spend a lot of money to make sure it's not you.
$120 million that could go to defeating people on the left.
Yes, and look, I don't know what the real number is. That could 120 million in a primary. I don't think that's the real number. They'll spend a lot. They'll spend a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. You have the pockets to go against that?
I'm right now. I'm doing quite well. I mean, part of this has to be separate with super PACs, but I am anticipating that I will be very competitive on the fundraising side. I already know I'm going to be competitive. Now, will I have 120 million? I don't need 120 million.
No,
but 20 to 40 million, that's doable for me.
Well, money can't buy this. It's going to be whether it's just getting your name out and making sure that people understand what John Cornyn has done. Who are your friends in the Senate that would be your PAC?
So I doubt, those senators, most of them, they all kind of stick together. Behind the scenes, there are several telling me they hope I win. The only one that I think that would, openly support me is Tommy Tuberville, who said, I'll support you. And I think he's obviously leaving to go run for governor, but he's a rare breed up there. And, that's fine. I don't need Washington to support me.
Ted Cruz won't do it. I mean,
I think Ted, because he's. I don't think he'll say anything. I don't think he'll endorse either way.
Yeah, he's got to work with whoever wins. I guess is that the game we're playing?
That's the game we're playing.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, and I'm just happy if that's a win for me. If Ted just stays out of it, that's a message, right? I mean, I know he endorsed Cornyn last time. If he doesn't endorse him this time, it's helpful.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm a benefit to Ted because I'll be supportive instead of disruptive to what he wants to do because I am a fan of Ted Cruz. I think he's the kind of senator that Texas deserves and should have, and he's done a fantastic job, and I've supported him ever since he ran the first time.
Yes.
And John Cornyn is, in contrast, is opposite. I mean, I think I heard you say, he'd be fine in Vermont if we had him as a Republican. We'd be happy to have him, but not in Texas.
It's going to be ugly. The Cornyn campaign response is Ken Paxton is a fraud. So it's just going to be an ugly thing here in Texas. But nobody deserves it more than John Cornyn. Ken, let me ask you about what the district courts are doing in trying to stop the president and all of his policies. They've obviously been overturned now by the Supreme Court, but they are going to have lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. What needs to be done?
So first of all, let me just comment on about me being a fraud. It's so funny that this is a strategy. If you haven't done anything for 23 years and you don't have anything to talk about, which he doesn't, and all the things you've done that are highlighted, his big accomplishment being the gun restrictions, I mean, he's going to have to spend his money to attack me and bring my numbers down because he's in serious trouble and he's way behind in the polls. So he will run a very negative, nasty campaign it'll be personal because it can't be on the issues because he loses. So as far as nationwide injunctions, look, we sued Joe Biden 107 times. We got a few nationwide injunctions. They were very sparingly given out on issues like immigration. When he tried to stop deporting, he said, we're not going to deport anybody. Well, we sued him and said, you can't do that. Federal law requires this. And it doesn't just require it for Texas because if we only get an injunction for Texas, well, then they just send them through New Mexico and California and end up in Texas anyway. So in some cases, if you can show that you have standing, what the injury will be, and then it's an injury to the whole nation, there is some, I think, benefit to being able to stop an illegal action. However, these liberal judges have gone crazy, and they give it for everything. You don't even have to have a standing, which means that you have to show that you're affected by it. And what business is a federal judge stopping what President Trump is doing as he's trying to cut the size of government, or he's trying to send criminals back to Venezuela? So it's gotten out of control. And, I just hope that it does. The reaction isn't so overwhelming that we can't stop Joe Biden next time, right? We have no way that Congress makes it so restrictive that then Joe Biden can do whatever he wants and no judge can stop, completely unconstitutional action. There's no check. But I agree. Right now, I mean, they've granted, I think, it's a ridiculous number of injunctions, nationwide injunctions. And so I understand and I agree something has to be done because the president has to be able to do his job, and the courts can't just micromanage everything that he does. It's not their job.
Supreme Court can if it's unconstitutional, but the federal judges can't stop what the president of the United States is doing at every at every step of the way. It's got to go to the Supreme Court, in my opinion. Ken, thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless. Texas Attorney General, also now announced candidate for U.S. Senate against John Cornyn. Thank God Almighty, we could be free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. Cornyn free at last.